how do I help people come to earnest hope in the midst of difficulty? Because that's a big part of my work with college students too, is not just always like things going well. A lot of times it's when things are going really poorly or great suffering is happening, and how to cultivate authentic hope, which I think is maybe the fullness of this personality. And
all right. I have one of my dearest friends in the world, Claire Robbie, who, if y'all are real ones, like real listeners of this pod, you know that she's been on here 500 million times. But
right.
Obviously, that's one of the reasons I had to invite her as our slated Enneagram 7 expert, as you are such a joyful example of this personality type in my life. And we get to hear how you resonate with this type and how the joys and challenges of it has impacted your career and how you have grown into the marvelously mature and integrated person that I see today. Howdy.
So sweet. I know, honestly, I'm like, this is so fun. I feel like I never need to, not that I would ever write a memoir, but I'm like, I don't need to. I'll just go listen to like my podcast with Chris from 30
Yes.
years.
Well,
Like,
if we ever go under, I'll just like send you all the raw files so you can keep them.
honestly, that's perfect. That's
Yeah,
so
we have some good history on here. So I'm going to just read off Google's description of what is an Enneagram Type 7, and then you tell me your hot takes. Like, what do you resonate with, and what do you ruthlessly not resonate with? Okay, because you're allowed. This is
I love
just
it.
a simple framework. So, the AI overview of Google says, Enneagram Type 7s are known as the enthusiasts or the adventurers. They are characterized by being optimistic, adventurous, and enthusiastic. They are also known for being people-oriented, enjoying multitasking, and always are looking for new challenges. However, they could also struggle with staying focused and completing projects. Some of your motivations are, if you resonate with this, motivated by a desire to be happy and avoid suffering or uncomfortable feelings. They also want to maintain their freedom and happiness, avoiding missing out on experiences and keeping themselves excited and occupied. Strengths are that they are imaginative and positive, exuberant, fast-paced, spontaneous, quick thinkers, multi-talented, and creative. Lastly, I'll share the challenges, and I really want to hear your take on this, is they could be, no, this is not true. They could be shifty. Well, maybe some resonate with that. I'll let you just voiceover on this, but they could be shifty, self-absorbed, uncommitted, restless, compulsive, and indifferent to people's feelings. They could also misapply their talents, becoming overextended, scattered, and undisciplined. Now, my dear Claire, it's the time for you to speak.
So good. I mean, for starters, shout out Google AI. As I was going, I wish I had a pin so I could be like, this story here, this story here, this story here. And as anybody who knows me for very long knows, there's like very few things that I don't have opinions about. So
I like that about
it'd be a
you.
great time. Uh, I I honestly think I might just start at the top. Do you have a preference if I talk about what I don't resonate with versus what I do resonate with
Oh, yeah. No, do
right
whatever
away?
you want.
I
Go with
mean,
the
I
flow.
would say in that definition, there's a lot more that I resonate with than I don't resonate with.
Okay.
So, I mean, just starting from the top, the the positivity, the enthusiasm, the exuberance. I feel like I mean, kind of in my friend group, that's the joke about me. A story that comes to mind almost a year ago exactly is for Halloween, one of my favorite things to do. I love a costume. I'm a sucker for a costume, even if it's like the dumbest, most ridiculous thing. And so I feel like this always comes out on Halloween. This was a couple years ago. We had no plans. We were sitting at home, and my roommates, we were just chilling. And I was like, okay, I'm going to come up with categories, and we all have to go to our bedrooms, and we have to like come up with the best costume from what is in our rooms right now in support of this theme. Last year, our entire friend group drew names, and we all dressed up as each other for Halloween. And like just those kinds of things. Renfest. I'm like, we're going to Walmart. We're buying burlap. We're getting jank teeth. Like anytime. So I think that this sounds like a weird, like niche dress up obsession I have. It's really not that much of a thing, but I think that's one example of let's take an everyday normal activity. Go into the movies. Even something. Have you ever played the preview game? I'm passionate about the preview game.
Teach it to me. What is
Okay,
it?
so whenever you go to the movies and you're like sitting in your chair and everyone's like, ugh, the previews. I'm like, we must get there for the previews because what you
Yeah.
do is you get there and everybody picks a number, however many people are in your group. Sometimes there's not enough previews. So this is why you should really only go to the movies in groups of 3 to 5 because there's usually at least 5 previews. Everybody picks a number and whatever number you pick, that preview is like a prediction of your future life.
Oh
And
my gosh. I'm
it's
obsessed with
maybe
this.
the dumbest thing in the world. And yet, I have never talked to somebody who didn't have so much fun while doing it. And I
You
think that
are
that
magic in a bottle. Seriously.
and I think that that really does frame the way that I move through the world. Is this fun? How could it be more fun? What are a little bit of childlike inhibition approach to most things? And so I do think that that very much lines up with how I operate. And how I move through the world, the enthusiasm, the positivity, certainly very people oriented. I mean, that's my whole job is
Yeah, seriously.
to sit across the table from people and listen to them and help them dream. And I do think that a lot of times my favorite conversations are in the positive direction. I think that the um, getting more to like the developmental side, I've had to really stretch and grow and develop my muscle around sitting with people in really difficult moments and helping them find earnest and authentic hope, not just like distraction of what's fun and entertaining now. How do I help people come to earnest hope in the midst of difficulty? Because that's a big part of my work with college students too, is not just always like things going well. A lot of times it's when things are going really poorly or great suffering is happening, and how to cultivate authentic hope, which I think is maybe the fullness of this personality in itself.
Yes.
So those are just some of the stories that immediately came up, like the positivity, the enthusiasm, the excitement. Um, I'm trying to think about like the next line right after that in
Yeah.
work. I know there was something
I
about
will
focus.
reiterate this, but first, I should have had you share, like, what do you do for work? Because this is the reason that I ultra emphasize the words people oriented. This will give a lot of context.
Totally, yes. So, really, for my entire career, I, right out of undergrad, started working in higher education, specifically as an advisor, starting off doing selections, doing recruiting, running a leadership program. Kelsey and I were in helping run a leadership program, really just following around our sensei, General Van Alstine, but highly relational role, deeply I would say connected to being able to establish trust with people quickly and effectively, making them feel known, to then figure out how to craft and build their college experience in support of the person they're trying to be and after college. So that's in a summary. I run our business honors program now. So now serve as the director of that program that I started as an advisor in. Still meet with students a lot, do teaching in the business school here at Texas A&M. And yeah, I mean, the easiest thing to say is that I hang out with college students for a living.
You're a key character over there that has, I really see it as so special that because of who you are and your big heart and well, your faith obviously has a role in being like a balanced thinker in this regard. I feel like the business school could so easily just be like funnel kids into financial success of consulting and investment banking, but you sit with your business honors students and help them dig deep. Like, what do you really want to do? Okay, you are allowed to do that. Did you know? And that is so special to me, how you're helping them, encouraging them into being a whole hearted person and not just going for the shallow stuff, which ironically is kind of what the criticism of an Enneagram 7 could be, of like, oh, kind of shallow. But you have developed a practice around avoiding that, it sounds like. Would you say?
That is such a good question. I think that one, I love sharing my students with you. That's been such a gift to me through the years, and nothing to learn from you and know you is the best.
They're sweet.
Um, I think I think that yes, the formation we got in college around being a reflective person, and that is key to any kind of fulfillment, meaning, purpose in life, is knowing yourself. And so I think having that really ingrained in me throughout college, and really being given and equipped with frameworks to do that, has absolutely created a sort of depth to the way I approach relationships and thinking in college. I'll also say that um, I do think that in parts of my life that are, I don't know, places where I have more insecurity, places where I have more vulnerability, I would say that I do default to some of those uh, self protecting strategies that are maybe like the criticisms, we'll say, uh, of the seven. I mean, I think specifically like when it comes to dating and relationships, I'm like, keep everybody at arm's length, like funny, charming, but you are not really going to see or know what I'm thinking, or like that is not happening until we become friends for 6 months, which I think has been a huge hindrance. And so it's been interesting to me to see how that depth, my openness, my willingness to go deep, and share life with others quickly, there's a pretty stark contrast to how I approach that. I would say with like friendships and community, it's been like really safe and really easy in the context of my family, in the context of work. But there are other contexts of my life where I'm like, we're not going there. And I
That is
like
so
really do
real.
prefer to um, self protect, emotionally hedge is the whenever speaking of dressing up as Halloween. This is like a moment when you know you're known in community. My friend Ryan got me for the Halloween dress up. He came dressed as a full on like green hedge, like a bush hedge. And as soon as I saw him, I was like, "You're an emotional hedge," because my friends all make fun of me for that. Where I'm like, I'm not ahead of time. I'm not like putting any stake in this because I'm not going to give an inch. So I think if that is connected to some of those less developed parts of the seven personality, I think there are aspects of my life where I really struggle with that.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
I still struggle with being a big drama sad girl, so I salute you on your growth spectrum as well.
On a journey. Thank you. Thank you.
I,
Yeah.
in terms of um, career,
Mm-hmm.
I some of the challenges again were being uncommitted, restless, compulsive, and indifferent to people's feelings, misapplying talents, becoming overextended, scattered, and undisciplined. How
Totally.
did you grow in that if there was a time of struggle with it?
Such a good question. And I see this a lot. So I think that there are two things at play here. I think that it was funny hearing the list because we do a lot of assessments with our students. One of them is the strengths one. And number one is positivity, which in
Yes.
the definition of it is enthusiasm. That's what it's about. And then one of my very bottom four is focus. And I read that and I was like, oh, for sure, for sure. And I think whenever we've done podcasts where we've actually talked about the work I do, and I don't actually think it's necessary for the job because I think that there's different ways of approaching it. The way I have designed my work is to use my preference, honestly, for distraction to my advantage. And so what that means is
Yes.
my day is very much jumping from thing to thing. A person comes in, I'm going to this 30-minute meeting. Then I have this like
Yeah.
administrative thing. Then I'm sitting across from a student talking about internships and connecting with people. Then I'm going to this like more emotional type. Like I am all over the place, not counting the 15 kids that say, "Hey, I have a quick question. Hey, what do you think about this? Should I apply here?" And that is how I've organized my work life because it really like I thrive in this environment where my brain doesn't have time to get bored. That's really what I'm workshopping against is boredom.
This is
And
genius.
my job is so dynamic that the way I do my work is in a way that makes sure I'm not getting bored. And so I'm able to bring my best self to it. It's been really interesting because I hired two people who are really different than me and previously on my team, the two like my two colleagues were really different from me. And I love how differently we work in the way that they get things done and the way that I think focus is more important and the way they need to protect time on their calendars. So I think the first part is just knowing it about myself and the other thing that helps me is values intersecting with values, life experience, and who you are and your natural preferences. And all those intersect to how you operate in the world. So I would say, yes, my natural disposition is avoid focus, stick to the to do list, have the satisfaction of getting things done while jumping around, all the things. My lived experience is growing up where my mom is like very structured, very disciplined, very productive. It is very rare that she's like, let's just chill on the couch. Um, and I think that my default sometimes is like, if something's not fun, I really have very little interest in doing it. However, 18 years under the roof of a person who was very rarely interested in mainly doing the fun thing really helped me, honestly, in a way that I needed and I think is healthy and has made me a better person, made me a more disciplined person, a learned behavior there. And then I think the last thing is values. And I would say I'm a very values driven person. Dedication is one of my values. And so the other thing that I use as a motivator for myself is if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it and it's going to get
Wow.
done. And it's a choice that I've made. And so a good example is today's my work from home day. I have a big strategic project that I need to like put a deck together and send in by Friday. I most people, maybe not most people, I imagine a lot of people would love a day with nothing on the calendar, just sit down and just work. I don't like it. I've not been looking forward to this. It's going to take me a lot of work to get myself in the zone and do the thinking, and it's going to be effortful for me. And once I'm there, I have the frameworks and the tools and the information I need to be effective, but it is effortful to get to a place of focus. But I know that it's necessary. And I'm driven by the care that I have for the organization, the requests made of me by leadership, and these values that I hold myself to push me through the initial this isn't fun. So I really think it's like knowledge of my natural disposition and inclination, my lived experiences that have enforced or like de-enforced behavior and chosen values that come together to move forward. But I am not a focused person. I'm not going to pretend to be a focused person. And I need to know when I have to use that to get something done effectively. And then when it's not necessary, rely on the other ways I have for being effective. That's natural and easy and fun for me and rely on those. So that was kind of a long spiel, but
I am blown away by it, honestly. That this is one of my favorite episodes in this series, no shade to the rest, because your answer actually you flipped it. And instead of just being like, yeah, I beat myself into submission every day to become different and ignore my born personality type and the way the Lord designed me. And instead, I'm just like, there is a job out there that actually prizes a ability to not have to focus on one thing and get super annoyed if people disrupt you, but rather it embraces the flow and the excitement for a lot of different things going on at once. And so instead of just ruthlessly working on your weaknesses, you embrace your strength and you chose a job by design that is going to agree with who you are, which is what I'm all about. I think that people really overemphasize basically becoming a different person so that they could fit into whatever they think they should be doing for work. And like, for instance, with me, I always knew I'm a dreamer. I want to create things. I like a wide open schedule. Hate being under someone's thumb. Can't freaking handle it. I mean, I can. Okay, I can. But I will develop health problems probably. And so I just realized like, oh, well, that is not anyone else's problem. That's my problem to figure out. So I will just employ myself and take full accountability for creating this work environment that is very unique and somebody doesn't owe it to me to offer it to me. So I will just create it. And now I like my ability to dream and vision is a a feature and not a bug. So I am
Yes.
totally resonating with what you're saying. The other thing I'm extremely impressed with is that you chose a value that might, if it's fair to say, be at odds with your nature. Like you said dedication or
Mm-hmm.
devotion.
Yeah,
Okay,
dedication.
I don't know if I've heard of people doing that before. That's pretty interesting. Can like can you say more about that? Like, was
Yeah,
that hard to choose, or were you doing it because you're like, "Oh, I really need to freaking fix this"?
no, that's a great question, Kelsey. I've never really thought about it. I think that part of the dedication piece of it um, is really closely tied to lived experience for me. I well, and I'll tell a story. I remember in my fellows interview,
Mhm.
which you'll remember that experience is kind of this like pretty intense hour long just question that it's not a like tell me about a time. They're like it's every person it evolves based on what you say. I don't know.
They're
Probably
trying
I'm
to
like if someone's
get
gonna listen to this. I guess I shouldn't give it too
cut to
much
the heart.
away. But yeah, they're trying to get to the
I
heart of
don't think
it.
it's a secret.
And I remember sitting across the table, and I don't know what prompted this, but I just said something along the lines of, I want to live a radical life. And John Van Alstyne kind of said, Claire, do you know what the word erratic means? And in the moment, my brain was like so cloudy and stressed. I was like, I don't know if I do. So anyway, but that's a different story. We, thinking about the idea of erratic, meaning like when you're trying to just like chase something that's radical and different, you can end up chasing a lot of different things.
Mm.
And I think that that is maybe the uh what do you shadow side for lack of a better word, the danger, the threat to sevens is this motivation to live a radical life, to do something wild and out loud and fun. But man, you can start chasing really, really fast. Whatever is shiny, whatever is lucrative, whatever gives you recognition, whatever the thing is that your heart is chasing, and you'll just go after it. And I think as being asked questions like that in college, where I was like, I don't want to live an erratic life. And then coming and making a choice to live in College Station and recognizing things that really anchor me in the midst of my desire to go out into the world, whether it be meaningful work, like critical mentors, rich community, proximity to family, that were all important to me in that decision. And honestly, having friends who, I mean, there was a big stretch of time there where I was like, do I just move to DC? I feel like that was always the question, and looking at jobs and just thinking about my life through the lens of I want to be a faithful sower, um, through faith and the value of faith, and therefore discerning, is this field still fruitful? And that has what has kept me in one place when there has been a temptation to run and to change and to like go to the shinier thing. And
Mm-hmm.
if I lived here, maybe I wouldn't have X problem. If I was doing this would be taken care of. But I don't think that's true. And I've had community and anchors that have helped me, strategic anchors. What are those? And that have kept me on track. Um, and then I think also another thing that's helped me with the dedication in work and community in this place is having outlets for this hyper spontaneous part of myself. So, like, one thing that has been great is one of my best friends works at Southwest Airlines, and by the grace of the Lord, she made me her companion. And so I can, like,
Wait, is it
hop on
Sarah?
a plane. Yeah, Sarah. Yeah,
I'm talking to her on Friday.
Sarah. I'm so happy. Yeah. If you're listening to this episode right now, stop listening to it. Go listen to that
No.
episode. It
Both
was
of them.
great.
Both of
That's
them.
right. No, Sarah's like, oh, you're gonna love talking to her. But that has been such a gift to have that, get to travel, go to, I don't know, I just, instead of squashing the part of me that's like, it's not practical to go to Paris for your 30th birthday, I'm like, no, I'm gonna go to Paris for my 30th birthday. And just think about some of those, when I have those intuitions, I don't just crush them because it's part of who I am, is the costumes, is the trips, is those things. But how can I infuse that into a life that is connected and anchored in the things that really matter, that I'm going to look back
Mhm.
on and say, this is how I chose to live. Um,
Oh, yeah.
so I think that's my answer to that question.
I love all of your answers. They're so sagacious. I'm like
Oh my gosh, what is that
enriched.
word? I love that
Do you know
word.
what erratic means? I'm
Yeah,
kidding.
no,
Do you know
I've
what
learned that one, but
sagacious
tell me
means?
more about sagacious.
It's like wise. I there was I don't know
Sage,
if
that
you
makes sense.
remember James from college. He was no, he was in supply chain. You wouldn't like my major. You wouldn't have known him, but he became a
James from
priest.
college.
And
It's a great
one day, yeah, good job, Kelsey. You know our huge school that we went to. But I was like, wait, James, what is sagacious? Like I felt dumb as a box of bricks in this group class. I was like, I don't know what you just said, and I've been holding on to it ever since. And then I'm trying to ride the fine line though of not becoming one of those people that's like, I'm sorry, did you just say intensive purposes? It's intense in purposes. Gosh, I hate those people.
That's great. I had a whole fight with somebody about whether it was the dumbest word. It was, speaking of Paris, we were talking about like what I feel like is colloquially known as macaroons, the little cute like sandwich cookies that are technically, according to the French, macarons.
Yeah.
But then I was arguing about this was with my roommate and her fiance. We were like having an argument about, is it like, do you stick to saying the right word or sounding pretentious by correcting people,
So hard.
I know. I made an argument for macaroon, but admittedly, I kind of have started calling them macarons, and so I kind of have to hate myself. I'm like both things now.
There's no winning in that whole argument, I don't think.
I agree,
You
actually.
know, this is just one of those things that it's like, oh gosh, heaven's gonna be
Uh,
nice. We're not gonna. I guess we'll
I don't have
just
to worry
all
about
have one language.
it. That's so funny. That's
Hopefully,
so.
um, my
I
lady. What were you
Well,
gonna
okay,
say?
you're about to ask a question. I did have one more thought related to what we just talked about, the dedication thing. The
Mhm.
other thing I would say is, if based on how you know what your temptations are, the idea of like being overcommitted, oh my gosh, I for sure have that problem. And it really did create some big issues for me early on. A couple years out of college, where I was living with these two girls, and I really like rarely saw them because, I mean, that was kind of my reputation. I was gone every week for a wedding or a bachelorette or travel or going home, and on the weeknights I was running around. And um I've had people who have created rhythms that have really helped me. And honestly, the pandemic helped a lot with slowing down. I think that made a big difference. But one thing that I've committed to in my adult life is when I start feeling out of control, and sometimes I try to do this ahead of time, I will not go out of town more than 2 weekends a month because I
Mm.
know myself and my temptation is to program and run and build in. And so I've just made the decision I'm not doing that. 2 weekends a month I will stay in College Station. And I can like throw stuff on the calendar and fill those days. I don't need to do silent retreats those weekends. But 2 weekends a month, I'm in town, I am here. Having a roommate night, that's not where we like sit down and have an official meeting. It's literally just protected time where we're not going to commit to outside things. We're not going to say yes to social events. Monday nights, we're sitting at home and we're like working on stuff together on the computer, or maybe we're watching an episode, or most of the time we're just spending 15 minutes going and get a Dairy Queen Blizzard before going back and doing our own thing. But we have that space to say, hey, let's talk about this on roomie night, or let's do this. So yeah, I think building in some of those things to lifestyle outside of work has also been really helpful.
I feel like at every danger or challenge of that's associated with your personality, it's like you'll just consider what are the long-term implications of this and not give in to short-term lesser desires, which is maturity, if you will. So I just want to say, well done, mate.
Yeah. Maturity, past mistakes, and spiraling burnout, also
I
names for
think
it.
a lot can be accomplished by just taking a second to think of how badly that will hurt when your comeuppance
Right.
happens for all the shorter term desires.
Totally.
That's with me. I think that I created kind of like a operational value for just being strong,
Mm-hmm.
seeing that I can give way into sensitivity pretty easily. And I was
Mm-hmm.
just like, I don't like the life this creates at all. So you can learn how to like the benefits of choosing the harder thing in the moment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I believe that. Wow, thank you so much for doing this episode. Any final words? Like, does it? Don't you love being a? Do you love it?
I do. I do. I think that sometimes I wonder. I think because I do, and I don't actually, I wouldn't say I'm like technically attuned enough to Enneagram to really know it. I think if I had to guess, I'm probably like a 7 wing 6 because I definitely lean towards like, is everybody safe? Is everybody okay? Like looking out in the world and seeing all the dangers. And so there is part of me that's like, am I like that? But whenever I read about like the core pieces, I'm like, no, this is me at my best, is the 7. And I think maybe the only thing we haven't touched on that I think is worth noting, I do really, really, really struggle with having an intolerance for negative emotion in myself and in others. And not so much sadness. I think that like just negativity in general in the workplace and like around people is super difficult. I'm not patient with it. And so that is one thing that I've seen. But then also, I was telling Kelsey before we got on this call that I have just had a couple like hard weeks. It is really, really difficult for me to um, just allow myself to experience pain and negative emotions when sad things happen and just allow myself to experience them rather than constantly workshopping how am I going to get out of this? When is it going to leave? When am I going to get past this? Because this is so unpleasant. Um, and so that's probably like a space where I need more development, more growth, more maturity, is a tolerance for negative emotion and a tolerance for being alone. There was one Saturday, it was literally not, it was just the most ridiculous day. I I think that, like I said, I have a really robust community. I've had two roommates for forever. One of them just got married and moved to Charlotte. And so it's me and Amelia, and Amelia's engaged. Her and her fiance went to Houston for the day to like look at couches at IKEA. And my other close friends were out of town. And that Saturday, I think I like went and volunteered in the morning, and then I went to a coffee shop and worked, and then I like went to mass and went to confession. And I come home. It's like literally like 5:15. Amelia's on the couch and she's like, "Hey, how was your day?" And I just start crying because I've spent the day alone. And I'm like, this is not healthy. You spent like 8 hours by yourself and you were like, I'm so lonely. So I think that's like maybe part extrovert, part seven. So I think like, yeah, those are the things I would just say I still struggle with, and really have to like have honest conversations with myself about like, is this a proportionate emotional response to this feeling? Talk about it with people, ask for what I need. And then, yeah, I'm not sure about the developing a tolerance for negative emotion. I think I need to continue to work on that because I mainly see it as like an ailment I need to get rid of. And I know that that's not always true. So, uh, yeah, I think that, praise the Lord, I feel like I've been given a lot of like good tools and frameworks and people through the years to know things about myself, design for it. And then, yeah, when the things trip you up, you don't learn from experience, you learn from reflecting on it. So,
Well said, as always. Oh man, I just love you, Claire. I hope you come to Austin this Saturday or this Sunday. We get to hang out and have a big hug. Hopefully, you haven't filled up your 2 weekends out of town budget yet.
I know.
Well, if so, just don't say anything.
Yeah. Like, did I?
Well, love you long time. And until our next podcast, bye-bye, listeners.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. To get an even more meaningful head start into your calling, head to thecalledcareer.com, where my fellow career coach Audrey and I have created a whole suite of free resources and tools to help you get clear and get a job today. For those who are definitely ready to land a job or start a business in the next 6 to 12 months, we're here to help you biblically and practically discern your calling through coaching, reflection, and deep market research. Identify the job that's aligned with it, even if you currently have no idea what you want. Rebrand your resume and LinkedIn to translate your background to appeal to your future boss. P.S. We take this off your plate and do this for you. Also, we'll teach you how to land referrals and get attention from leadership through networking. Again, if that makes you nervous, we have these emails and LinkedIn messages literally written for you so you don't have to sweat. We're also here to give you unlimited interview practice so you're prepared to address every elephant in the room and knock selling yourself out of the park. Then we'll round out with helping you negotiate your salary so you land thousands more. Just so you know, recent clients have gotten $8,000 to $50,000 salary increases, even though they were totally non-traditional candidates. That's because we specialize in helping non-traditional career pivoters land jobs they're ecstatic to serve in. It takes work, but we're here to see you through until the end, when we're celebrating that day that you send me an email in all caps and you say, "Kelsey, I got the job." Then you could be on the podcast. But I'll be here until then, keeping you accountable and encouraged by meeting with you literally until you land the job you want, even if that's up to 6 months from now within our program. Apply to join at thecalledcareer.com, and I'll see you next week here at Answer the Call. Bye for now.